Okay, let's start with something that seems, well, kind of baffling. Why would someone risk everything, say, shoplifting, something they could easily buy? Or, a successful person taking a huge career gamble?
Yeah, it looks completely illogical from the outside, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's this paradox. Doing something potentially destructive even when you know the consequences.
And that's really what we want to unpack today. We're going to dive into the mix of brain science, psychology, and even social pressures behind risk-taking.
Trying to figure out why that potential reward just seems to silence the inner alarm bells.
Precisely. What makes the upside feel so compelling that the downside almost disappears?
So a big part of this is just raw brain chemistry, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely fundamental. Engaging in risky behavior triggers this really powerful reward cascade in the brain.
Right, we're talking about things like dopamine.
Dopamine, definitely that's the anticipation and reward chemical, but also adrenaline, that immediate rush, and even endorphins, the body's natural opioids. Quite a cocktail.
Okay, but here's a twist. Not everyone gets the same hit from that cocktail, right?
Exactly. That's where the neurobiology gets really interesting. Thrill seekers, studies show they often produce more dopamine in these situations.
Or dopamine.
Yes. And crucially, less cortisol. That's the main stress hormone. So what feels like overwhelming stress to one person.
It feels like a rewarding challenge to another. Wow.
Precisely. It flips the script. And we even see this at the genetic level. There are specific gene variants linked to dopamine receptors that make some people potentially up to 2.5 times more likely to go for high-risk activity.
2.5 times, just from their genes.
It suggests a strong predisposition, yeah. Their wiring is sort of geared towards seeking out these intense experiences.
Okay, so the chemistry primes the pump. But how does our mind, like our conscious thought process, fit in? Is all risk-taking the same?
Good question. No, psychology makes a really important distinction here. There's sensation-seeking, which can be planned. It's about novelty, exploring, and it peaks in adolescence but can be adaptive.
Like wanting to skydive or travel somewhere new.
Right. Versus impulsivity, which is more reactive, less planned, sometimes chaotic. Think acting without thinking.
And they feel different, activate different brain areas.
They do. While both can lead to risk, the underlying driver and brain networks involved aren't quite the same. This leads us to a key idea: the reward-punishment balance.
Okay.
There's a brain region called the insula. Its job is partly to process risk and potential negative outcomes, kind of like an internal warning system.
The O signal.
Pretty much, yeah. Now, in individuals who tend towards high-risk behavior, research shows less activation in the insula when considering risks.
So the alarm bell is just quieter.
Effectively, yes. They're more tuned into the possible reward and less sensitive to the potential punishment. They're literally processing the risk calculation differently.
That sounds precarious. Like driving with faulty brakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the internal landscape. But what about the outside world? Peer pressure, showing off.
Oh, absolutely huge factors. Social motives are critical. We see this across cultures. Studies in over 40 countries show status seeking is a major driver.
Status. How so?
Taking risks can signal things like courage or competence or maybe just nonconformity, being different. Especially, during adolescence when social standing feels paramount.
Right, teenagers seem particularly wired for that.
They really are, and we can see it in the brain. Neuroimaging shows that teens who have heightened sensitivity to social rewards, specifically in areas like the ventral striatum, which is sort of the brain's social reward hub, they're much more susceptible to peer influence when it comes to risky choices. The reward of fitting in or looking cool can genuinely outweigh their own assessment of the danger.
Okay, this brings me to something I find fascinating. This idea of planned recklessness. It sounds contradictory.
It does, but it happens all the time. Behaviors that look totally spontaneous or impulsive might have actually been carefully considered, even planned out.
Planned badly.
Planned with a specific bias. The individual systematically over-focuses on the potential upsides, the thrill, the status, that dopamine rush, while significantly downplaying the likelihood or the severity of things going wrong.
So the calculation is skewed from the start.
Exactly. And here's a key part. The anticipation, the planning itself, can be addictive. Just thinking about it, strategizing. That provides a dopamine hit even before the act.
Right. So putting it all together, it seems like we're saying this isn't necessarily about being irrational or, stupid.
Not at all. It's more like a fundamentally different way of processing rewards, weighing uncertainty. It can even be linked sometimes to lower baseline stress levels and maybe even greater resilience when things do go wrong.
Okay, so that's the big takeaway then. It's a different operating system in a way.
I think that's a good way to put it. And while, yes, excessive risk-taking can become a real problem, like an addiction needing bigger and bigger risks,
Right.
the goal probably isn't to stamp out risk-taking entirely. We need it for innovation, for growth. It's more about finding ways to channel that drive.
Channeling it into safer, maybe more constructive outlets.
Exactly. Harnessing that powerful chemical and psychological engine for something positive.
So here's something for you, our listener, to think about. If the anticipation of the reward is almost as powerful as the reward itself, how could you design challenges in your own life, maybe work, fitness, learning something new, to really max out that dopamine hit from planning for success instead of planning for recklessness?